Thank you so much. Great to be here. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here since one of us actually studied here, so 20 years ago almost, and one is from Handel, so bear with us.
Bertram, are you
Oh, yes.
sharing?
I'm sorry. We've been asked to give a small overview, 15 minutes, about the larger trends in commercial real estate. So we are from a company called Stronghold Invest, which are mostly famous for owning music and Niam. I'll be back to that. But first of all, who are you? So I'm Magnus, and
Yes, my name is Thomas. I actually studied just down the road at Stockholm School of Economics. So it feels, standing here talking about AI and big data at KTH feels like to go easy on me.
And I've been in prop tech and this field since this was the commonly used web browser. So for everyone here under 45 years of age, this is Netscape. And Thomas has been in the prop tech scene since, well, yeah. Anyway, let's go forward. So what do we know about prop tech? So very, very quickly, for you who haven't run into us, Stronghold owns the core holdings of Music and Niam. So Music is the large consulting firm in commercial real estate. Niam has a number of property funds with international investors, which they direct investing in real estate in the Nordics. However, we've been doing what we call the digital real estate or prop tech or digitalization for quite a while. And we have a portfolio of roughly 10 companies. Mostly are minority owned, some are majority owned. And me and Thomas and Daniel, who is heading the team, is working very much in the digital space, not so much with the more classic advisory. So when it comes to valuation, don't trust our numbers. Prop tech. So what is prop tech? It's very hot topic nowadays. And for us, the prop tech is when you have created a software that is primarily just for the real estate market. So nothing else, just for a specific industry. And there are many questions about, okay, is construction tech part of prop tech or not? And where is fintech going in this direction? Is there an overlap between that? And there are a lot of adjacent segments like last mile transports, charging infrastructure is a super hot topic as of now. Within Stronghold, we don't really care if what is prop tech or not, because we take it on a more overall intersection between the digital and the real estate. If that is prop tech or not, we don't really care. So we see 4 different areas where we spend quite a lot of time. So one is purely prop tech, so software for example, investors, landlords, consultants. That is pure prop tech, mostly to make the process more efficient. Then you have the reimagined real estate. That could be co-working, co-living, Airbnb. So you can use the digital tools to change the use of the buildings. Then we have macro trends. I mean, obviously, everyone should have sold their shopping centers in 2015 and acquired last mile logistics. But no one was doing that until BlackRock was doing it in 2019. So that's a macro trend. Then more general tech, which I find super fascinating, is the way to how will digital infrastructure change the need for offices, for example, with Zoom meetings, Team ICO and everything there. I still believe in offices, but maybe not the same amount, the same place as we are today. So we try to take all those 4 and see if there are any business proposals. So one example, 5G coverage that Sweden is pretty late to hit compared to, for example, Finland, will put some problems because by pure fact, the way to increase the speed is to increase the wavelengths, shorten the wavelengths, which means that they cannot penetrate buildings as easy as 3G or 4G, which leaves the property owners with the problem that the coverage indoor is not as good as in the street. And you get super quickly used to high speed. And you can then have all the mobile operators to create indoor networks. That's one way to solve it. And that's happening already today. What we think, and is betting on, is to create a neutral part, a 5G neutral host that builds one network within the building, and then resell that to all the mobile operators. And for the end user, there will be no difference. This is the way it's done in the countryside where I'm born in Sweden. Not all of them have a unique 3G or 4G network as of today. They share it, but you don't see that. You either have Tele2 or Telia, but you may be running on someone else's network. And it's the same thing that we are aiming to do indoor, mainly for offices and shopping centers. Fine, back to the topic. Trends.
Yes.
So Thomas, go deep.
Thank you. We're gonna go deep.
That's beyond Excel. Come on, with his background.
Yes, so we see a lot of opportunities and use cases going on right now. I'm gonna take you through 5 of them just to give you kind of a brief flavor on what's going on. We have, let's take them one by one and start from the top with a Swedish company called Ledmyr, founded in 2017. And as many of you may have heard, the real estate industry is this huge emitter of CO2, which means that we need to optimize energy, we need to reduce energy, we need all these smart buildings. But the problem is that the majority of buildings are not even connected. And when you, to get the consumption data, it's usually a guy, blue collar guy, going out in a building, reading manually from the meter, puts it on a post-it note, and forget about it. And that's a very difficult data set to optimize from. So Ledmyr, they have a smart building automation system, which reads real-time data and can then write back to the HVAC system to optimize performance. Next one, Spacemaker, a Norwegian company founded in 2016. And, when urban development is becoming increasingly difficult, you want to, optimize space, you want to optimize well-being and sustainability, and a lot of factors to take into consideration. So Spacemaker have developed this AI-based planning and design tool to kind of empower decision makers and designers. So these are some snapshots from their platform. And one example is here, where they optimized the sun time in a building. So here's the first draft, and then they use their tool and optimize to get more sun. One example. Then we have one more Norwegian company, Consigli, quite young. And another problem is the whole construction and design process is one of the least digitized industries in the world right now. All the way from first idea to ready-made building. I think productivity in that space has been flat for 30 years. So Consigli have developed what they call the self-designing engineer, which is kind of a computer-driven support in the design and planning process. Swedish company Movesta, maybe you read about them in Dagens Industri recently. They're trying to solve the risk you take when you whether to buy first or sell first. If I sell first, will I find a new home? Will I have anywhere to stay, and vice versa? So what Movesta does, they have automatic valuation model, so they can give you an instant price on your apartment, and then you can sell. You can go find a new home at your own pace. So just to paint a picture here, the factors Movesta look at in their model. They look at market data, reference objects, and repairs. This might sound, a little bit simple, but comparing to how it's normally done, you call your broker, they come and look at your apartment and does something like this and come up with 6 million. So this is more automatic model. And then the last example, Skyline, a little bit older company in the US. So they've seen that the data you use in commercial real estate, for example, to value a building, is very fragmented. It's kind of difficult data sets, and they're difficult to access. So they managed to gather all this data and combine it into a model to be able to take quicker and better decisions. So Skyline was actually acquired by JLL, which is one of the largest real estate advisory firms in the world. And here's a quite long quote from the global CEO for Global Capital Markets. So he says, when you combine the intelligence of the best advisors on the ground with the quantitative expertise and AI data analysis, get insights that are beyond human and create a competitive edge for JLL and our clients. So here's really the combination of human and data model that can create better decisions.
Cool. So there's without question, a lot of different high-tech solutions out there, and they've been springing up the last years. However, though, we do have a challenge for everyone creating those kind of services and try and sell them and so on. And before I go too far into the presentation, first of all, I love tech. So regardless of the rest of the slides, I maybe shipped myself 5 years ago. So I really love tech. But we do have a challenge. And the challenge is, first of all, this is the real estate research and R&D spendings between different industries. And the real estate industry is the very, very far left corner, 0.1% compared to many other industries. So that's a challenge. So what's the reason here? And the reason is that the real estate industry has been printing money. Back to Bertram's presentation. In many senses, from a tech perspective, there are no problems in the commercial real estate market. That was until like 2 months ago. Now you can read about a lot of problems on the financial side. Because the real estate, I'm not talking about the large commercial real estate owners and the agents, the GLL, Newsec. We've never done so much so greatly like the last 3 years. There's no pressure to change. It's not like the media industry. It's not like the movie industry where you have Napster and Spotify putting pressure on the music industry. Commercial real estate is doing absolutely brilliant. And they don't care about tech, because why should they lower the cost with 5% and bring in a lot of tech? Because they're still printing money. That's the challenge. And it's also this kind of curve and communication gap that is an effect of that. So you may have complexity here. So on the left-hand side, you have the real estate complexity. The easiest one is to lease an apartment or buy an apartment. It's not that very complex. But if you're a commercial owner, to set up a fund, work with distressed assets, it gets much more complicated. On the left or the right-hand side, you have starting with Excel spreadsheets and then go upwards. And maybe you have blockchain, AI at the very top. There is a massive communication gap here, because the real estate people have no one on their team that understands anything beyond maybe a website. I've been in hundreds of meetings where they tell me that they want to connect their database with data to Dacia. I spent 20 years at Dacia as head of product. And then 5 meetings later, you understand that, well, they actually just have Excel spreadsheets. And there is no data management applied to those spreadsheets. They are totally different, formatted, set up, data quality, and so on. But that makes it extremely hard if you go out and try to sell using those wordings, because no one understands it. They don't have a problem thinking that blockchain solves it. So you have to I'm fine to build it on blockchain, but don't talk too much about it, especially not with the clients. When you raise capital, that's another story. So PropTech is nothing new. It just has exploded the last couple of maybe 3-4 years. And we start to get from nice to have to need to have. It's like the vitamin pill versus the headache pill. Vitamin pill, you should take it, but yeah, you rarely do. Headache pill, the day after, you take 1 or 2 for sure. And as a solution provider, you want to have, need to have, not nice to have. But there is one thing that's changing that now. The best thing that's ever happened to property is ESG. Besides it's hopefully saving the planet, because this put enormous pressure on everyone in commercial real estate. Because it doesn't matter how high their IRR are as a fund, their LPs and the government and so on are pushing them in the ESG question, which means that they can't just kind of avoid doing nothing. So there are like carrots and different ways. There are new regulations from EU. You can maybe apply for green bonds so you can lower your financing cost, which is the perfect thing for a commercial real estate owner. And maybe this guy, I think now is in, kind of a shitstorm. Was a famous quote here a few weeks ago in Dagens Industri, where he says, well, the energy cost doesn't really matter. 62% I can just push to the tenants, because that's how the legal agreement is written. I'm not sure the commercial real estate can just push the cost forward. And the effect here is that we require massive investments, since it's the built environment. Many HVAC systems in the traditional building is maybe 60 for the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And just to connect that to internet is not as easy as it sounds. It's not very complicated, but it costs a lot. So this is an estimation of the US market. The retrofit of US commercial buildings is estimated to 18 trillion. There's for sure a market here that could be grabbed. So key takeaways, I mean, prop tech and all the tech that is used is just in the early innings, even though it's been around for 30, 40 years. But feel free to use deep tech and push the forward with all the academics and everything, research. But don't focus on the tech, focus on the problems. Comments, questions?